back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about spoiled cards from the card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I love spoiling cards, and that's exactly what we're going to do today after we thank the patrons.
And those patrons are spoiling us is really what it comes down to. So I would love to just give a quick shout out to all our patrons of the show. Daniel, David, Joseph, Kyle, Lewis, Mike, Dominic, Phil, Robert, and Sean. And also, just to let everybody know, Sean is, first of all, he's really nice, but he's also got one of the greatest beards I've ever seen in the community. It's like this awesome, like, red beard. I met him at Con of the Rings, and he's been a supporter of the show since we started putting out Patreon stuff. So Sean, thank you so much, and keep commenting and keep going. Sean is actually one of our not only a patron supporter, but he also comments on a whole bunch of our stuff. So we love it. Thank you, Sean, for all that you do for the show. So Grant, I would be proud to introduce you as our spoiler introducer of the card person.
We are spoiling today Odo Proudfoot.
Proud feet!
Shout out an elderly man from the back of the pavilion.
The 2-cost, 1 willpower, 1 attack, 1 defense, 2 hit point hobbit, which has a response after Odo Proudfoot enters play. Search the top 5 cards of your deck for a hobbit ally and add it to your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck.
And he is Spirit Sphere,
Yes.
right? Okay.
And this is from the new, what's the pack called? Under the Ash Mountains or something like that?
He was just spoiled, correct, in Under the Ash Mountains, which was just released a few days before recording this episode.
So, Grant, what do you think of this spoiled card?
I think that it could really give the hobbits some much needed scrying for their decks. Obviously, you've got Razor Shire and you've got other things, but this is actually dedicated. It is you pull from the top 5 of your deck. It's like support of the not support the Eagles. The Eagles are coming. Muster in the Rohirrim. It's something that most traits already have some sort of inbuilt digging of your deck, and I think it's going to do some really make some decks really pop.
Yeah, Ted, what do you think? What's your first gut?
I'm proud. I'm proud of.
Well, let me ask you. I know Grant well enough. But what's your take on hobbits in general?
Hobbits in general. When the card pool was very small, and I remember thinking around the time of the 3rd cycle when we saw actually like Spirit Pippin come out, I said, "Oh, I actually became excited as the game was progressing. I'm like, oh, our hobbits they're going to become a thing because Spirit Pippin's ability set of all the heroes you control are hobbits. And at that point, I think we had Spirit Frodo, Lord Bilbo, right. And I don't even know if the Black Riders might have been out. So it was starting to grow because that really expanded hobbits, right? When Black Riders came out.
Black Riders really, like, that's when there's the 4 big hobbit heroes that came out.
Right.
Well, 3 and
very recently, they've been getting a lot of cards to really round them out as a really solid deck. We saw Gaffer Gamgee come out in the last cycle, and we've seen a lot of, I think, just strong cards to support them as a very playable deck. So
I'm
And Odo's going to play right into this, I think. But what do you think?
Yes, I was going to say that this I feel like I love hobbits. I love to play hobbits. I don't have a dedicated hobbit deck that I play with, except for one that I've put together for my campaign with my buddy. But I enjoy hobbits a ton. Actually, I just inspired by your Christmas episode, right? I just put children gather around the Christmas tree, right? And so it's a couple of hobbits in with Treebeard. But
And the deck actually works quite well. I've played it myself a couple of times
yeah,
just to see how well it actually worked, and it actually worked quite well.
yeah, I'm getting better at deck building. I'm still not awesome. But the first thing that I notice is this thing is undercosted. You get 5 stats for 2. Usually that would be 3. Okay, so it's an undercosted spirit ally, which is fine and amazing. It's got 2 hit points, so it's not squishy. And so, Grant, you talked about scrying or fetch cards, and you talked about Raise the Shire. So here's my old target for Raise the Shire was always Farmer Maggot. So I'd bring out Farmer Maggot, and Farmer Maggot has a when enter play effect that that deals 2 damage to a enemy that's engaged with 1 or 2 if it's less than your engagement cost, whatever. So Farmer Maggot is usually, but this guy is now my new target for Raise the Shire, because Raise the Shire, you pull out Odo, and then you put him into play. Now you can hunt through the top of your deck for another Hobbit ally, and then Raise the Shire pulls Odo back into your hand, and then you can then hardcast Odo the next round to pull a third Hobbit back out into your hand, to pull a third Hobbit from your deck back into your hand. So as long as you have enough allies to keep pulling out over and over again, this Odo Proudfoot is really the card that is going to help you really succeed in a fellowship deck, in a Hobbit deck. And then I just kind of spoiled my own thing, is that this gets you to the fellowship requirement that much quicker, which I think is a card, the fellowship card contract really works so well with hobbits because you get +1 to everything. And I don't know, it's just an amazing, I think that this card goes immediately into a hobbit deck, and then I have to figure out which spirit hero that I'm going to use in order to play this unless I'm going to use something like Tom Cotton. So that's why I love this card. And of all the cards that were there in the new pack spoiled, this was the one that I wanted to talk about because of how well it really greases the wheel for a Hobbit deck. So, Grant, what do you think about all that?
I think you're dead on, and I generally like running Spirit Merry, so I wouldn't necessarily need Tom Cotton for his ability to play this Hobbit, but it's definitely one of the options you've got. But I like how versatile the Hobbit trait is. You've got several different versions of Hobbits. I mean, you've got Spirit Merry, you've got Spirit Frodo, you've got Spirit Pippin, all in the Spirit sphere. But all
Fatty Bolger.
Yeah, Fatty, Frodo.
So there's enough Hobbits that you could potentially make a Spirit Hobbit deck.
Well, I don't know if a Spirit Hobbit deck is what you want to do, but you want to at least be able to have Spirit in your deck to be able to pull this out. Coupled with Gaffer Gamgee, like these 2 cards really, like, you can't find Gaffer Gamgee, put Odo put Odo down, find Gaffer Gamgee. You know, like, I not bad. Ted, you want to say something? What do you got?
You guys are nailing all my thoughts right on the head, and I think you hit a couple of key points. I think he's just another toolbox inside the Hobbit archetype, no matter which flavor of hobbits you want to build. David, you mentioned excellent point about the Fellowship contract because he is a unique character. And the hobbits have really great allies. You named Gaffer Gamgee being one of them, and Rosie Cotton as well, right? So he could fish out one of those unique characters, either for the Fellowship or just those are good in Hobbit decks, right? Gaffer and Rosie are pretty key. So he does also pair well with, I think, Tom Cotton too, just because he's just another Hobbit and he fetches you another Hobbit, and Tom Cotton will continue to boost attacks. He's just another really awesome like tool in the Hobbit size toolbox.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys. And it's probably not related to Odo Proudfoot, but it's definitely worth a discussion. And so when you're out there and you're talking about building a Sylvan deck, for example, or building a Noldor deck, or building a Hobbit deck, which is why I was really thinking about this guy, or was thinking about this question. When you build a Hobbit deck, what makes it a Hobbit deck? Like, is it that all three of your heroes are hobbits, or does it have is it a Hobbit deck if it only has one Hobbit in it? Like, so Ted, what do you think of that? What's your answer to that question?
It's a really interesting and worthy point as we digress from our spoiler.
Well,
but that's an important question. I want to hear what you guys think as well. And yeah, when you build, I think the general consensus in the community is, right, I'm going to build a Noldor deck, and that is going to consist of my three heroes being Noldor. I think that's usually the key. So Hobbit deck is three hobbits, or something built around whatever hero gives that archetype its power. So if you're going to say, I'm going to build a Dale deck, you might only have Leadership Brand because he's the one who he boosts Dale allies. But you might actually have non-Dale heroes, right? You could have
like Bear of War common.
Yeah, my initial Dale deck had Leadership Aragorn, for example, along with Bard and Brand. So I think it is primarily the heroes, although some people I think strictly adhere sometimes to allies.
Yeah,
to get a full feel, but that doesn't always make good playable decks.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right.
But I'd love to hear what Grant thinks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Grant.
Me personally, if I'm say going to build a Hobbit deck, for example, it's the way I build my deck is what I'm focusing on for that deck. So I may only have, say, 2 Hobbit heroes and then a third hero in another sphere or another trait. But the cards that I use will be benefiting the type of deck that I want to showcase. So, for example, if I'm running a Noldor deck, I may use Elrohir and Elladan, but I may also have Haldir in there for just a bit of for a bit of damage in the staging area. But my main focus is Elladan and Elrohir. So that's what I've focused my deck on.
David, let me ask you this. In your Sylvan decks that you build, are all of the heroes Sylvan in that lineup? And this is a trick question because I know the answer.
The answer is no, because Galadriel is a Noldor,
right? Galadriel is like
she's the.
I mean,
like
you can build a Sylvan deck,
right,
without it. But the really good combination is Celeborn and Galadriel together,
which
really makes the Sylvan deck.
Which makes sense because of the lore of the game and things like the lore of the thing of the books. Because of the what am I trying to say? I can't say.
Words. I know talking about cards is hard, buddy, but we're here to support you.
But then ask me again in that Sylvan deck, how many other traded cards are not Sylvan? 0. Sorry, I have Steward of Gondor, so that's a Gondor card. But that's it, and that may not even be a Gondor card. It may just be a title card.
I think it's the title.
But that's the thing, is that when I build my Sylvan deck, I'm strictly looking at Sylvans with small exceptions. For my Hobbit deck, and this is why I guess I bring this up. So if you're going to build a Scouring of the Shire deck, so a deck that's going to go through a scenario that's like that's just hobbits, right? Like this is the card when you're building a strict hobbit deck. This is the card that you need in it. Odo Proudfoot is the card that's going to help you go, that hasn't been released yet, right? Like, I mean, it's different than Raise the Shire, and it works in conjunction with Raise the Shire to give you all sorts of scrying fetching for hobbits. So if you're building a hobbit deck and you're not putting Odo Proudfoot in that deck, I'm going to say you're not building a hobbit deck. Because
Hobbit deck.
Well, it's just because what you're going to need to fetch hobbits. So if you're not trying to fetch those hobbits, then that's not a hobbit deck, right?
Yeah,
like, I think it's one of those things. Like if you have three hobbit heroes, and then you put out Treebeard and all the Ents, and then or if you have 2 hobbit heroes and Elrond and Vilya, right? Like that's not a hobbit deck. That's an Elrond deck. You know what I mean?
I think Grant nailed it pretty good. Where there's a certain traits have like synergies, and your deck is focused on that synergy of the trait. Is really what it comes down to. Like my Sylvan, I have events that require Sylvan allies, so those synergize together. I have Dale traded allies that synergize with my hero. And so in this case, Odo, he just synergizes with other Hobbit allies, and those Hobbit allies synergize with Hobbit heroes like Rosie and Gaffer, because Gaffer, generally Hobbit heroes, you have low threat. So they all kind of just deliciously meld together. And we can feel good.
And the other thing about this guy is he's not looking for unique Hobbit allies, so you can pull out like the new Sheriff that's out, and the one that gives you bonuses.
Wandering Took.
And there's no Wandering Took.
Don't forget about Wandering Keen-Eyed Took.
Yeah, Ket. Bringing back Ket here. Anyways, but and it's not you're not even looking for unique Hobbit allies. You're just looking for any sort of Hobbit. So
yeah.
So why are you not? If you're playing a Hobbit deck, then you are, then you're using Odo Proudfoot. So I stick to it. I stick to this. So, Ted, spoiler: we don't have a ton more to say about Odo. But what's your last gasp on this guy?
He belongs in pretty much any. I think it works really well with, like I said, with Tom Gotten, because he's gonna pull you out extra. He's gonna come on the table, get the bonus, and he's going to pull out extra hobbits, which will also continue to synergize with him. And it's important to note what you already pointed out is his response is after Odo Proudfoot enters play, not when you play Odo Proudfoot from your hand. So his ability will trigger off Raise the Shire, and you could also sneak attack him in to get his effect triggered as well. So you could enter him into play multiple times through events and other tricks.
Right.
And I think he's pretty solid overall. He's great.
Grant,
we're all proud of him.
Grant, what's your last gasp on Odo Proudfoot here?
I like what he does. He's
undercosted. He's undercosted for a spirit ally.
Well, I think if he was 3, he'd be way too much, though. I would never play him for 3. I think 2's a sweet spot.
I agree. 2 is a sweet spot. undercosted maybe, but you've also got to think the Hobbits only have. What's the rate of the Hobbit allies? What's the cost ratings?
Yeah, it's like 2. 2. Is there a 3? Farmer Maggot's 3.
Yeah, how fast is 3?
How fast
Well,
is 3?
how
But nobody's
fast-
playing how fast unless you're playing a side quest deck.
Eh.
Um,
Nobody's playing how fast. That's not going in the Hobbit deck, Ted.
I put how fast in the Hobbit deck.
Yeah, how fast has a place, totally, dude.
How fast is decent because even if you're only running one side quest, that still puts them on par with the rest of the Hobbits.
Yeah. His Hellfast effects too. Now that this is the Hellfest show, but have we done Hellfest? Maybe he should be the next
No.
card.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's all about. I mean, I think Rosie's undercosted for her ability because she is just so overpowered. Our ability, exactly. So having something like this, having a fetch that's 2 cost. I mean, all you have. I mean, it's when he enters play, so it's a one-time thing. So you'd have to bring him back to then play him again.
And then stand and fight him, and then like chump him, stand and fight. Like, like you can dig through your deck for just about any amount of hobbits that you ever wanted. Like,
but that's still a lot of 2 cost to go searching for a hobbit to add to your hand.
Put Sam and Spirit so that you have access to Steward of Gondor and put it on Spirit Mary.
So I don't necessarily think that he's overpriced for what he does.
I'm super excited about this guy. Okay, you guys are obviously not excited at all, and I am now going to do this show all by myself for the rest of its run. I'm just kidding.
All right, I'll go back to bed.
Okay.
Yep, you're super excited, David, and we are too. Actually,
I could tell.
Even in smaller non-Hobbit decks, like you could only be playing Spirit Frodo, for example, and have 2 other whatever heroes, right? You could have Odo Proudfoot in your deck, and you probably have Spirit ally Sam in your deck because you're playing Frodo. And you could have Wandering Tukes. You could just have Rosie still playing leadership.
There's good Hobbit allies that you can have out that this guy can help dig for.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and I think in a Fellowship deck too, he's going to find a place because he's going to help
the fact that it's unique is great for that Fellowship contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And he's there's too many. There's Spirit Bilbo, right? And he finds Spirit Bilbo, and then he gets you a pipe, and then everyone smokes and has a good time,
just like he is in that picture. I don't know. Okay. Well, we have made it a habit of not rating cards that we're spoiling. So I guess we'll wrap up the show here. And that was a lot of fun, though. I'm super stoked about Ally Odo Proudfoot.
I think there's much excitement and anticipation as we continue to get cards from this current cycle. I think every card has just been like every pack is just jam-packed with all of the things. Here's another thing for you, David.
I know, right? Absolutely. So, I don't know. So
we're looking forward to it.
I am. Well, join us again as we talk about more cards from the game, and we will see you later. See you next time, everybody. And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username CardTalk2018. Or you can search the RSS feed cardtalk2018.libsyn.org for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at CardTalk2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.